My name is Jacob, and you're watching my show about literature, and only literature. In the last episode, we talked about Dr. Joseph Bell and his importance to the development of the character of Sherlock Holmes. But, as is the case with many famous authors and their creations, their sources for inspiration tend to be multifaceted. And while Sir Henry Littlejohn appears on this list for many of the same reasons as Dr. Joseph Bell, there are a few key differences from which we can discern various elements of Holmes. Some of the more obvious similarities between the two figures were that they were both medical professionals who were well known for their powers of observation and were often called on to act as expert witnesses for trials. In fact, their reputations were so notable that they occasionally provided testimony for the same cases, such as when they both appeared in the Ardlamont murder trial. It was a very high-profile case that drew national attention, and most certainly had a profound effect on the young Conan Doyle. The case revolved around the mysterious death of Cecil Hambro, who was either murdered by John Monson and Edward Scott, or suffered a very, very, very unfortunate hunting accident. And although Dr. Bell and Sir Littlejohn testified for the prosecution, the jury wasn't able to decisively conclude the truth. Both Monson and Scott, who, by the way, was a fugitive during this whole incident, were set free. I believe that this had a direct impact on the way Sherlock Holmes concluded his cases. If you look closely at the stories, you'll see a very clear indication that Doyle holds the police and the justice system in contempt. Lestrade and his men are characterized as incompetent, often coming to Holmes in order to solve mysteries which they themselves are unable to solve. They are depicted as being detrimental to the case by destroying critical evidence and overlooking vital clues that would otherwise solve the case. When Gregson, a detective who works with Lestrade, states, "I have left everything untouched," Holmes retorts, "Ha! If a herd of buffaloes had passed along, there could be no greater mess." He was, of course, referring to the path outside the house. Even Watson notes that there were many marks of footsteps upon the wet clayey soil. But since the police had been coming and going over it, I was unable to see how my companion could hope to learn anything from it. Overall, the impression that Doyle wants us to receive about the abilities of professional police is that they are well-meaning idiots. My theory is that Doyle, who was almost accused of murder himself, was fully aware of the limitations of the English justice system and of the immense importance that concrete evidence, or lack thereof, played in dictating a verdict. As a result, Sherlock Holmes becomes a figure of vigilantism, whose sheer genius supersedes the law in order to prevent a miscarriage of justice. In the Boscombe Valley mystery, it's related to us that James McCarthy was acquitted at the Assize on the strength of a number of objections which had been drawn out by Holmes and submitted to the defending counsel, which suggests to us that had the courts been left to their own devices, Mr. McCarthy would have been wrongly convicted. Where Dr. Bell and Sir Henry Littlejohn differ, however, is in their connection with the law. Sir Henry Littlejohn had a professional affiliation with the justice system, as opposed to Bell's more casual links. He served as Edinburgh's police surgeon and as medical advisor to the Crown in Scotland, working closely with them in order to solve cases. Dr. Bell was more focused on the medical issues than with the criminal side of things. The very fact that Doyle mentioned Sir Littlejohn, or I should say respected Sir Littlejohn enough to incorporate some aspects of his personality into the character of Sherlock Holmes, speaks volumes about his person. While he may have had a healthy distrust of the English legal system, he had nothing but esteem for the man who, by all means, was on the same level as his mentor. Sure, he might have worked for the man, but at least he was intelligent enough to give him a better reputation. Thanks for watching. As always, if you like what you see, don't forget to like and subscribe. And hey, if you have anybody else who you might think could have been an inspiration for the character of Sherlock Holmes, please leave a comment or a video response below. Tune in next time as we take a look at Eugene Francois Vidocq and see how he rubbed off on Sherlock Holmes. Peace!